All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I see we have about 10 attendees for tonight's webinar. My name is Thomas Davis. I'm an Economic Development Manager here in the City of San Antonio's Economic Development Department. I have been assisting the department with our ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act-funded small business programs, and one of those that we are currently helping manage and work on is our corridor program pilot. So without further ado, I will begin the presentation. I'll share my screen, begin the presentation, and as noted in the chat, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or use the raise hand function, and Anitra and I will help moderate and host at the end of the presentation for questions. Whatever y'all need, we're here. This does go until about 6 o'clock, but I think we've left plenty of time for us to take questions, provide answers, and to hopefully give y'all what you need as we roll out this program. So I'm going to begin the presentation and run through that, and then we'll have time at the end for questions. So bear with me here. I'll begin. All right, so again, thank you all for coming to this corridor program pilot information session. This is a program of the Economic Development Department, and as noted, we are offering Spanish interpretation as part of this webinar. Anitra and our interpreters are available, and they'll provide, if you do need Spanish interpretation, there's a function as part of this that will be available to y'all, and Anitra will be able to provide that for those who need it. So some quick background on the corridor program pilot. Back in June of 2022, San Antonio City Council approved the Small Business Implementation Plan for the funds that we received from the federal government as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. For that Small Business Implementation Plan, just under $31 million was allocated specifically for small businesses, and it was broken into 5 buckets: access to capital, capacity building, ecosystem enhancements, what we're calling localism, and then for our purposes here, a geographic placemaking bucket of sorts. And within that geographic placemaking initiatives, $1 million was included for the corridor program pilot. And so a very high level overview of the program. We're partnering with Main Street America for this pilot program. Main Street America, I'm going to get a little bit more into their background, but basically they'll be helping us coordinate and manage the request for applications process, which will help us identify 2 initial corridors for participation in the pilot program. As part of that pilot program, the selected corridors will receive funding for corridor development and revitalization, including specifically organizational development, so the development of the organization specifically focused on that corridor, program implementation for the corridor, and then various technical assistance needs that may arise as part of the proposal as part of the corridor development. There will be funding available for that. Main Street America is going to provide specific programming for the selected corridors. That includes what they're calling Main Street 101 basic training in urban commercial districts, community asset mapping, engagement and partnership building, board training, since there is a formal organization structure as part of this pilot program and as part of the required proposals, board and community volunteer recruitment and retention. There's market analysis training, which will utilize what Main Street calls the Main Street approach. The development of customized transformation strategies specific to the selected corridors. So there will be very hands-on, targeted, customized strategies for the selected corridors. Main Street America will also help the selected corridors work on work plans and metrics development. And then at the end of the program, which I'll show the timeline a little later, but it goes out through sort of the end of 2025. They will do some program assessment visits with each corridor to, provide that hands-on, localized approach. So a little background on Main Street America. The National Trust for Historic Preservation was established by Congress in 1949, and as part of that Trust for Historic Preservation, they created the National Main Street Center in 1980 as one of the Trust's programs. And out of the National Main Street Center arose what they call the Main Street America program, which has helped over 2,000 communities across the country with corridor development. A lot of them have been rural communities, but Main Street has also provided urban commercial development in a number of cities across the United States. Boston is one where they have a very strong presence, Washington, D.C., Miami, and then, as part of this, pilot program, the city of San Antonio is really looking to engage with Main Street America and really build out a corridor program here in San Antonio. Main Street America, or MSA for short, provides programs and services that restore what they refer to as restoring economic vitality and promoting quality of life in under-resourced, older, and historic neighborhoods and commercial districts. The Main Street approach is a four sort of pronged approach focused on economic vitality, and you'll see that here on the slide. Economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization, all working together to really lead to that community transformation. So in economic vitality, they're looking to build a diverse economic base, catalyze new investment, and really cultivate a strong entrepreneurship ecosystem. Along with that economic vitality, there's the design element, which involves creating an inviting and inclusive atmosphere, celebrating the historic characters of these corridors, and fostering accessible, people-centered public spaces. A really crucial element of the Main Street approach is organization and building that leadership and strong organizational capacity, ensuring broad community engagement, so not, not exclusive engagement, but really broadening it across the community, which the corridor is a part of, and then forging partnerships across various sectors. And then finally, there's the promotion aspect. So it can't just be economic vitality, it can't just be design on itself, and it can't just be organizational capacity building on its own. It has to also include promotion and all of them working together. And that's really marketing the district's defining assets, communicating unique features through storytelling, and supporting buy-in of the local experience. So as in partnership with Main Street America, the city has currently out there for everyone to participate in a request for applications. And as part of that request for applications, there are 5 specific areas that we're looking to potential applicants to respond to. That includes organizational capacity, corridor characteristics, public investment, existing city plan alignment, and then corridor partnerships. And you'll see here a very high level description of what we're looking for in each of those areas, and then I'll get to the specifics here shortly in each individual slide. So on the organizational capacity side, applicants must be of what we're calling a managing organization. So that must be an established 501c3, C4, or C6, or crucially, if the corridor does not have one of those yet, there is an opportunity to commit to becoming one as part of this process. So that's trying to broaden the applicant pool, make this more inclusive, because we know a lot of the corridors, have a lot of activity, but they may not have that managing organization in place yet. So we want there to be that opportunity to become one. The managing organization must be based in or have a significant presence in the corridor neighborhood. They must also demonstrate a proven ability to convene small businesses, property owners, residents, local institutions, and stakeholders as part of their work. As part of the application, it's important to demonstrate a track record of achieving measurable community outcomes. And there must be a commitment to sufficient staffing and sound financials to really sustain that economic development work in the neighborhood. And finally, it's crucial to have the backing of institutions or other organizations that have a proven track record in the community. So we know that there are a lot of opportunities to partner with existing business development organizations, business associations, neighborhood associations. So really having that backing of those institutions, and it can be those sorts of institutions, or we're open to a lot of different ways to address that question. So, but really to demonstrate that backing of the institutions within the community. When it comes to corridor characteristics, where we want applicants to demonstrate, to sort of show us the number or concentration of businesses within the proposed corridor, the types of businesses that are there, retail, restaurants, offices, whatever it might be, to show us, to really demonstrate what type of businesses are there. There are a couple of informational questions, which includes the current or what applicants may see as the potential walkability. So as part of the application, there's an opportunity to look at the walkability score of the corridor. And then informational as well would be the current vacancy rates within the proposed corridor. And then two other corridor characteristic elements that will be scored are the size of the proposed corridor. So as part of the request for applications, it should be shown, the applicant should show what the size it looks like. You know, it goes from this side street to that side street, includes this amount of blocks. And then also using the city's Equity Atlas, which is a mapping product to list the combined equity score for the corridor location. When it comes to location, investments, and partnerships, we're really looking, these are three separate buckets here, but we're really looking for, we're really looking for applicants to demonstrate alignment with existing city plans and priorities. So showing that the area is a part of a priority corridor that was identified in an adopted or even currently underway Estate Tomorrow sub-area plan or regional center plan. The location may or may not be within an adjacent or an existing tax increment refinance zone established by the city. And another area is corridor partnerships. So we want applicants to show commitments by philanthropic and or private partners to the applicant in order to match or augment the corridor program investment from the city, and also demonstrate collaboration with existing business property owners as well as public, private, nonprofit, and academic institutions if applicable within the area. So there's a lot of opportunity there to sort of demonstrate how an applicant would leverage partnerships with the public, private, nonprofit, academic institutions, and also with philanthropic arms. And then finally, we want to be able to discuss and to show public investments, both past, current, and planned. So that could include 2012, 2017, and 2022 bond programs from the city as part of the infrastructure management plan investments that are out there that the city undertakes, and then other public sector investments. So there may be a park or a senior center, a library, public transit investments by VIA, utility infrastructure by CPS or SAWS, or maybe even state or county funding in the area that may be important. Those are good to demonstrate as part of the application and leveraging those for the corridor. And then finally, art and cultural investments that are being made in the area will be, an important part of the application. This is a breakdown of the scoring for the application itself. You'll see that organizational capacity has a total of 30 points, which is, it sure demonstrates the overall weight of these these specific sections. Corridor characteristics at 20, public investment at 20, and then the alignment with existing plans and the corridor partnerships have 10 points each. So I'm going to start talking more about the actual funding for the selected corridor. So each of the two selected corridors will receive up to $200,000 in operational support. $25,000 in the June of this year through September of this year timeframe, $100,000 to help with that organizational funding and support from October of 2023 to September of 2024, and then there will be a slight ramp down to $75,000 from October 2024 to September of 2025. And this sort of gets at the desire to for the city to sort of see these corridor investments, but then to slowly ramp down, to come down a little bit on those investments and help the corridors build that funding structures on their own in the out years. In addition to that specific organizational funding, there will also be up to $225,000 in what we're calling project implementation and or technical assistance to support the overall strategy. So think of that as it could be anything from like engineering or architecture related support if there are historic buildings that need to be addressed in the corridor, or if there are marketing or design work that needs to be done to help promote it. Thinking of those four areas of the Main Street approach, that money will be managed by the city, but then available to the selected corridors throughout the term of the program, which as you can see is a little over 2 years. Finally, this is what the timeline for the program looks like. We did open the applications formally yesterday, and they will be opened through 11:59 p.m. On May 1st, 2023. After that, we will do an internal application review for a couple weeks. Then in late May, we'll do some finalist interviews and site visits, and then there will be a series of briefings with city leadership, with our department leadership, with the goal of announcing the selected corridors in late June, and then really getting into the program implementation with Main Street America in July, and then going on through September 2025. And as a final note, I will say that if your organization or your group is looking to submit an application, we will be hosting some additional informational and technical assistance webinars with our Main Street America partner, Miss Dion Bo. April 11th, we'll have one sort of over the lunch hour and then one early evening to sort of provide some of that access, you know, over the lunch hour and then post normal business hours, so that hopefully we can gather more support and help. So with that, I know I've run through that kind of quickly, but I wanted to get to the end. If you would like more information, this QR code will take you to our corridor program landing page. You can also email us at smallbizinfo@sanantonio.gov, and the web address for our program is just sanantonio.gov/EDD/corridor. So with that, I'm going to hold the presentation up here. Actually, I'm going to stop the presentation and look to take questions if anybody has any. I'm going to see, we've got 14 attendees. Thank you, everybody, for joining. If you have a question and would like to ask it at this time, you know, please feel free to raise your hand and I can unmute you. I see Nadia has her hand. Nadia has her hand raised, and then Dr. Andre Boyer. So I'll go with Nadia first, and then to Dr. Boyer. So Nadia, go ahead and ask your question.
You mentioned, or the application mentioned, for existing organizations, they need to show 1 year of audited financials. My question is, would a compilation from an external CPA suffice for that external assurance?
Yes. So those financials that are audited by a CPA on the outside, I think would certainly meet that requirement.
Okay, well, it's not an audit, it's a lower level of assurance than an audit. So that's my question. There's 3 levels of assurance that CPAs would do.
That's a great question. I will take that back to the Main Street team and ask them, and we can follow up with you, Nadia, on that just to double check.
Okay, thanks. The second question I have is, I want to confirm, when you said size, you meant length, not square miles, right? Like you're not wanting to have us have sort of a radius around the corridor. Is that right?
So when we think of corridors, we do think sort of that, you know, that length component. But if the corridor, you know, goes down a side street or includes, you know, a full block, around a full block, maybe we didn't want to be prescriptive on that. So if there's a square, you know, if there's a square miles element, that's good context. But it would be good to say, you know, it's a full linear mile, or it's a 3 linear city blocks that go from side street. Oops, sorry, that go from side street A to side street B along this main corridor. I think that would be a good way to respond to that question.
Okay, thanks. When you talk about the equity score, does that mean, so along the length, let's say that there's one census tract on the north side and on the south side, and as you go along, you go into different census tracts. Do you want us to take the average of the combined equity score across those census tracts?
I don't think it needs to be that involved. I think you could, what I would say is just say, you know, the far end starts in this census tract with this score, and it ends in this census tract with this score, and just put both of them in there as part of the assessment or the application response.
Okay, thanks. And then for the philanthropic commitment, does the letter of support need to say that they're actually committing a dollar value, or can they say, as a philanthropic partner, we are, supportive to be along this journey, but not necessarily commit to an actual dollar amount?
I think that's kind of it was intended more of as an open-ended question. So there, a dollar value could go a long way, but definitely those letters of commitment to say we are partners with this organization, we're committed to this endeavor and to, supporting them, I think also is a fine response. But if there are opportunities to say, if this organization were to receive this funding for this corridor, we would also invest X dollars, that would be a good look as part of the application.
Okay, thanks. And then my last question is on the application. One of the questions says, describe and demonstrate a need for community capacity building and economic development in your proposed commercial corridor. So, I mean, I just wanted, there's a lot of things that I could say or think about in response to that, but I just wanted to know if you had a particular direction that you all were looking at, or if you truly did make it very open-ended and that people respond the way that they feel it's best to show the demonstrated need.
We left that pretty open because we know that no corridor, being too prescriptive may limit some corridors and preference others. So what we had said was leave it open, allow the respondents to sort of show that community need, because specific to their corridor, corridor that you're thinking about, Nadia, may look different than another corridor in the city. And so what that community need looks like for y'all's proposed corridor is specific to you. And so I think that would be, the thoroughness of the response, the sort of demonstration and sort of the showing of it versus necessarily the telling, I think is a good way to think of it. So, really demonstrating what that community looks like for your specific corridor is a good way to think about it. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think so. Yes, okay. It does. So thank you. I think that's all my questions.
Okay. Dr. Boyer, I see that the question got answered, so great. Does anybody else on the webinar have any questions? You can raise your hand or put it in the chat. I guess I have time now for the next few minutes to answer questions. If anybody would like to stick around, otherwise we'll look to provide this recording. Potentially, I would like to provide this recording on our webpage as part of this process. So if anybody would like to review it or go back and see the presentation, I would also highly recommend that everybody who's interested go and take a look at the webpage that we developed. That's sanantonio.gov/ADD/corridor. There is the request for application outline is all the questions, all the materials are there in a PDF document in both Spanish and English. There's also the link to the portal/platform portal platform that Main Street America manages. It's through a grant management portal called Submittable. And so there's just take a look at it. If you're interested, go and visit that, which Main Street America is handling. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us through that smallbizinfo@sanantonio.gov email address, and we're really here to help support and provide that technical assistance, that insight, answer questions as much as possible. So I just want to stress that we're here to support everybody who's interested in this program and looking to provide an application, or anybody who's just interested in it generally. So please don't hesitate to reach out. So that concludes the presentation. I will hang out here, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand, put them in the chat, and I'll hang out here for a few more minutes to be of help. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing your applications and hearing from you soon.